But you guys, let's get right started right away. We have been talking about going over in more detail three-way calling. And so I want to just go ahead and pick back up on some of the things that we have shared in brief, but I'll spend some time dealing with the three-way call, and then I will come back and open it up for some questions and answers. So one of the things you need to understand that the purpose of the three-way call is to help validate your company and the opportunity that you have for your prospect. That's really what it is. It's a call of validation. And it's done really through telephone that allows you to call another person. And the other person that you're calling is what we would say your upline. And so you want to call your upline or somebody that is seasoned that can be able to help answer some of the questions that your prospect may have. So some of the things that you need to understand that there's four things that happens when you do a three-way call. Number one, it validates you. It validates the company. It validates your business. It validates your product. Number two, so number one, it validates. Number two, it bridges the gap between your new prospect and an expert in the business. The third thing that it does is that it helps build the confidence of the new representative. So if you're a new representative, this is why we're always telling you, use your three-way calls. Because every time you get on a three-way call, it helps to build confidence because you're hearing and you're learning how to respond to certain SCOs or standard client objections. And then four, it's a cost-effective way that has the most impact in terms of converting a lead or a prospect into a customer and or business partner. And so that's why the three-way is so important. And what you'll find, and you may have heard, sometime Phyllis will text me and say, hey, be on standby. I may need you for a three-way call, because three-way calls is not just for new network marketers. We all utilize it in the industry. There are times where I will get Phyllis on the line and ask Phyllis to facilitate a three-way call. And so that's some of the things that you want to make certain that you do. Having a three-way call is essential, and it provides those things for you. Now, so the question is, who should do your three-way call for you? Number one, the first person is your sponsor, which means those of you that are leaders, you should be encouraging your team to utilize you for three-way calls. If your sponsor is not available, your sponsor is not comfortable with it, if your sponsor has not positioned himself as an expert, then you go to your sponsor's upline. So whoever sponsored your sponsor, go to them. And if they're not available, here's what you do. You go to somebody else's upline. But when you do a three-way call, you always want to do a three-way call with the person you're calling for the three-way going up. And listen, you guys have me. Sometimes it really doesn't have to be an upline. It could be somebody that simply has a vast knowledge about the company and what is actually happening and have the capacity to be able to answer questions and answer concerns. And here's another way that you can ease into a three-way call when a person is not necessarily expecting it. And here's what you can do. Watch this. They can ask you a question. And you guys ask me questions, and I'll tell you, you know what? I'm not fully equipped to answer that question. But what I'll do is I need to make a call, and I'll get the answer for you. People like honesty. It's okay to be honest if you don't know. Don't try to make something up. If you don't know the answer to a question, it creates a wonderful opportunity for a three-way call. The other thing that a three-way call does is that it will provide social proof to the prospect that there's a sense of a team atmosphere, as well as that there's support that is available whenever somebody may need it. Wow, he called the CEO. Wow, she called one of the co-founders. Wow, I got to talk to the vice president. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? So all of these things are essential because it helps to continue to paint a clear picture of not only what's possible with the company, but watch this, what's possible for them as a result of the company. So let's deal with the process of the three-way call. The process of the three-way call is as follows. First thing is, tell the person who is actually going to do the three-way call, tell them about your prospect. So don't just call them with the prospect on. Tell them in advance a little bit about the prospect. Let them kind of understand some of the things that the prospect was concerned about, or some of the questions they had when you were talking to them. Then I want you to call your prospect. And when you call your prospect, explain to them that you're going to make a call to an expert that is able to answer any questions or concerns they have. Now, what you don't want to do, because it becomes offensive, you do not want to have your prospect on the phone and just arbitrarily, without getting their permission, to do a three-way call and call your upline and put them on the spot. Get permission from the prospect. Hey, you know what? I can tell that you got some questions, and I want to make certain that you get all of the answers that you are looking for. Do you mind if I call our CEO? Do you mind if I call whoever the upline is? And then when you call the upline, you have to do, and you hear us say this all the time, you have to edify your upline in a way that will put your prospect in a position to listen. You can't just be calling anybody. You got to be calling somebody, because unfortunately, we live in a world where we are starstruck and personality driven. So when people think that they're able to talk to the star or to the big boss of a multi, all of this kind of stuff, it puts them in a more position to listen. Then you want to connect the upline and the prospect on a three-way call and introduce the upline and the prospect to each other. Always, always, always edifying your upline. Always edifying the upline. And this is what happens. When your upline gets on the phone, after you make the introduction, I'm going to ask y'all what's supposed to happen next. I'm going to ask y'all what is supposed to happen next. When you get the upline on the phone, after you make your introduction, somebody put it in the chat line. What do you do as the person that is, come on, son. Woo, y'all got it. Good, good. I like to say it the way Miss Benny said it. Shut up. Don't say nothing else. That's right. Thank you. Say it like it is. Hush your mouth, like grandma say. Boy, hush. Girl, be quiet. Shut up. Don't say nothing. Let the upline do the talking. Are y'all seeing that? Let the upline do the rest of the talking. The upline does not need your help at that point. Okay? Now, Dr. Mooney said, my lips are sealed. Zip it. That's right. If I am the upline, what am I saying at that point? I don't, you know what, Crystal, Diamond in the Making? I don't know what you mean by that question. If you are the upline, Well, at that point, you're not saying, watch this, you're not saying anything just to be saying something. When the upline gets on the phone, thank you, Beatrice, you are going to lead in with one simple question. Because now, here's the other point. It is assumed from your upline that they have seen videos. It is assumed from the upline that they have gone to some form of a presentation, because that's our system. So the next question, after the introduction and the pleasantries have taken place, you're going to say, I understand that you have seen a few videos. Or you're going to say, I understand that you came to a Zoom or a virtual party. Somebody put in the chat line, what is the very next question you ask after you say, I understood, Stan, that you saw videos or you attended some form of a virtual presentation? There you go. Y'all doing it like rock star. Mary say, are you in? No, you want to ask that question. What did you like the best? And based on that conversation, based on that response, it's going to lead you as the upline how to follow through and which way to go from that conversation. All right? So now we talked about what the purpose of the three-way call is. We've talked about who should do the three-way call. We've talked about the process of the three-way call. Now, let's talk about something that Crystal and the Diamond Rough always talk about. Y'all fill in the blank. The fortune is in the, come on somebody, the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. It is well-known fact in our industry that the most sales are done in the follow-up. Let me say that one more time. You got to understand that most of the sales that happens in our industry does not happen on the initial, but on the initial introduction, but it happens in the follow-up. So let's take a sneak peek as to what the follow-up process looks like in terms of a three-way call, okay? Number one, you must set an agreed upon time with your prospects that will be okay for you to follow up with them. So what that means is it goes something like this. Hey, I want to set up a time for me to follow up with you. What time, what day and time is best for you? How about Tuesday at 3 p.m.? Don't leave it open. Suggest a couple of times and a couple of days for them to choose from. Okay? Don't just say, when is good for you? Just say, how about, is Friday a good day for you? And if so, how about 3 o'clock? That's another way you could say it. You want to assume the appointment. All right? In the meantime, you may want to, once you set up the agreed upon time, it's up to you. You may want to expose them to some additional information. If there's a virtual party, a grand opening that's happening, you may, if Dr. Rita is doing something with the medical team, any of those things that will help reinforce, you may want to set them up for that. And then the next thing, when you talk about the follow-up, you want to determine if your upline will be available at the same time between you and the prospect. Because now they've had a warm introduction. And here's what's very, 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 very important. What's very important is this. You must follow up at the agreed upon time that you told the prospect that you guys agreed to. Don't say 1:30 and say, oh, I got caught up on a Zoom, and you call them at 2:30. Don't call them at 2 and the agreement was 2:30. Because anytime you call when it's not agreed upon, it gives them an excuse or a reason not to answer the call. Once you follow up with the call, you assess whether or not they watched or listened to whatever additional thing you may have invited them to, or whatever the case may be. If they still have questions that you can't answer, guess what? Do another 3-way call. Here's what I don't want you to do. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to force your prospect on a 3-way call. It's important that while doing a 3-way call, you don't force your upline on your prospect. You got to understand, we're doing relationship selling, and people don't want to feel like they are being coerced into being a part of something if they're not open to it. Because really what this will do is increase the chances that your prospect will basically put up a wall against you, and they will begin to create separation. Remember, people don't like to be sold unless they're selling themselves. Remember that. People don't like to be sold unless they're selling themselves. Instead, you should come across, when you do your 3-way call or make the suggestion, as one that has empathy, that's genuinely concerned about their questions, and generally concerned that you make certain that you're answering their questions with some form of integrity. I got a lot more, but I'm going to stop right there because I want you guys to give me some feedback. If there's any questions you may have, I want to open up. Woo, look at Kathy. She got a lipstick on. Uh-oh. Oh, somebody had a hot day tonight. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Kathy distracted me. It was all this Kathy's fault. I receive all of it. Give me all the love. So are there any questions? Thank you, Crystal Diamond in the making Robinson. This was extremely helpful. Is there any other questions, any comments? What are some of the takeaways? What are some of the takeaways? Couldn't you also ask, I understand you have questions? You could, absolutely. You could simply say, hey, listen, I understand you have some questions about what you heard. But I still would say, what did you like best? Because the reason you ask that question, because psychologically, you begin to get them to tell themselves what, and begin to identify what it is about what they saw that they really liked. And if they start thinking about it, and then you make them say it, now they're reinforcing with their mouth what their mind was thinking. And you continue the dialogue and the conversation based on what they liked. Are y'all understanding this? Any other questions, comments? Talk to me. I received a message that my prospect is still interested, but wants to see one more video because they need details on the different packages. So here's the thing. I don't know that we have videos on the different packages. So you could ask them what products are they most interested in, right? You could ask questions about, is there any questions that you may be able to answer, right? And get a little more, dig a little deeper about what they're actually looking for. I needed to have a three-way. A customer wanted to know the difference between power and pure. In our last conversation, they are interested in the business. Okay, good. So how does the 0.3 know where to go in your body?
I love that question.
You love that question?
I love it. I love
So if you love it and you want to give an answer, you can. And
it. I
close it.
am not the medical professional. I'm just a microbiologist turned business person. But just like the metabolism of all the CBD, it's going to go to those receptors as a whole. It's not going to separate out from the rest of the CBD because that product that has the 0.3% THC is a full spectrum product. So all the cannabinoids that are involved are going to go to those receptors and react with that. Some people find that the 0.3% of THC is more potent for them. Some people find that the 0% works for them. And so that's why going low and going slow helps you to figure out, and trying different products helps you figure out what works best for you. So
So here,
it doesn't separate out though.
so here it's to be available. I spent 20 minutes trying to get the correct info. My sponsor did not have it. Notice, FB notice was incorrect. So Miss Kathy, if you could make certain that they get that, can you do that for me?
And what is it that you're looking for, Naina? Which meeting ID and which passcode?
I think for this call right here, this meeting.
Oh my. Okay. So then let me do that right now.
All right, so she's going to do that. How does the three? And so that's a great way that Kathy responded to it. Another way is to really help you. Once you know how the endocannabinoid system works, you can simply say it's made up all kind of receptors in your body. The same way a Motrin knows to go to the head when you have a headache, and to the toe when you got a toe ache. It's the same way the THC know when to go. The receptors reaches out and it grabs them where it's needed. Because remember that everything about THC and CBD is about bringing the body into balance. Okay, this stuff goes in and catch. All right, how can I intelligently convey this? Just like I did it. I actually think that what I just said was intelligent to this level, Jewel. I think it was intelligent to this level. You have to meet people where they are. If we overcompensate with medical terms and all of the stuff that the average person don't understand, when people don't understand something, they have the tendency to resist it and or criticize it. So you want to keep it simple.
I would say, Jewel, that you just in a very conversational way let them know, look, I'm not a medical professional, but I learned through my training in Wakanna University. What I love about this company is the education, and I didn't know this, but I learned that there's receptors all over my body, and as soon as I introduce cannabis, it brings it back into balance wherever I need it. Just yeah, that. And look, if you need all of the details, I got a video that the doctor talked about it. She could break down the CB1, CB2 receptors, the
That is
anandamide.
such a great answer, Kathy, because you can always come back with, I don't know that, but I just know I sleep better. My hip ain't hurting. My blood pressure is better. I don't have all those technical answers because I'm not a doctor, but this is how this product makes me feel.
Right. Exactly. How it makes me feel. And then if they are technical, and some people are, send them to the video, send them to a Zoom, and let the doctors talk about anandamide and CB1 and CB2 receptors.
Period. Hey,
Period.
listen, you guys,
What
it's
is
7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock. That is it. That is all. Thank you, Phyllis. I'm telling y'all, she's magnificent. And really what she did was referred you back to your testimony.
That's
And
so
here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to end with this because I got to give it to Kathy. Tell them what you told them. Tell them what you told them again. Tell them what you told them again. Just know how to tell them what you told them the same way, the same thing, 3 different ways. All right. That's it.